They made a pact. If the music didn't work out, they'd end it all. That's not a metaphor. That's the origin of the Suicide Boys. In 2014, two cousins from New Orleans, Ruby the Cherry and Slick Sloth, or by the thousands of other aliases they go by, turned a pact into one of the most haunting music movements of the last decade. The two decided that if they don't make it in music, they'll end it all. Scrim once said, Ruby always had this darkness. Even when he was a kid, he was different. Ruby picked up drums young, studying jazz and classical music, eventually falling into punk rock. At 15, Ruby ran away to tour with the Vapo Rats as a drummer, and when that ended, he couch surfed, got involved with heroin, and spiraled into what he later called a years-long suicide note disguised as a lifestyle. Slick Sloth, or Scrim, grew up on the opposite side of New Orleans. His home life was marked by chaos. His brother was in and out of jail. His father died from an overdose. Scrim, also known as Scott, dealt with severe depression and started using drugs in high school. But unlike Ruby, he was locked away, producing beats under the name Bud Dwyer, named after the politician who shot himself on live TV. A dark foreshadowing of themes to come. I remember thinking about killing myself constantly. I made beats just to stop myself from doing it. Every song was a distraction from death. The two were cousins but not close growing up. When they reconnected in their early 20s, it was like fate. Scrim was making beats and Ruby hit him up one day out of nowhere. Yo, I know you make beats. Can I rap over some of that shit? I was like, yeah, fuck it. Ruby was barely surviving. Deep into heroin and ketamine, Slick was broke, sleeping on floors, selling beats online for $50 and stealing to eat. But one night, Ruby played him a demo he recorded, rapping with raw, emotion-soaked flow. Slick heard something real in it, something that matched his beats. Haunted, spacey, drugged-out soundscapes. They made a pact. If the music didn't save him, they'd end it all. That's why we called ourselves Suicide Boys. That wasn't edgy. That was reality. That was our last shot. And so they created, obsessively. Not for fame, not for success, but just to get the poison out. In 2015, they dropped the Kill Yourself saga. A 5-part mixtape series layered in 808s, depression, horrorcore energy, and suicidal ideation. Inspired by 3 6 Mafia, UGK, Memphis Funk tapes, they sampled old horror films. They buried their real identities under alter egos. Slick Sloth, Odd Enough the Snow Leopard, Young Plague, and so many more. This kind of music was never heard before. In a way, they created their own genre, rapping in their own lane. They did no promo, no label, no radio, but their SoundCloud numbers exploded. Songs like Paris or Kill Yourself Part 3 and Memoirs of a Gorilla gained cult status. They were noticed by rapper Puya in 2015, who had more of a fan base. Then they created a collab mixtape which really pushed the Suicide Boys name even harder. We didn't try to go viral, we tried to go honest. Turns out that's what people needed. Fans weren't just listening, they were surviving, getting tattoos, starting forums, calling the music life-saving. Success came fast, but it didn't bring peace. It brought chaos on a bigger stage. By 2016, they were packing out venues, hitting millions of plays on SoundCloud, and touring globally. But behind the scenes, everything was unraveling. There were times I'd get off stage and go looking for Ruby, just hoping he wasn't dead. That was real life. Ruby was heavily addicted to heroin, Xanax, and alcohol. He would often black out between sets, wake up in strange cities with no memory of how he got there. On their 2017 Grey Day tour, he admits to doing entire shows in opioid withdrawal, sweating, shaking, vomiting, but still screaming into the mic. I'd be puking behind the stage, pop a benzo, go up there and scream, kill myself, with 5,000 kids screaming it back. Meanwhile, Slick was spiraling in silence. Known for being more reserved, he dealt with panic attacks, disassociation, and multiple overdoses. In a 2020 tweet, which is now deleted, he confessed, "I OD'd 3 times in 2 years. I didn't care, I just didn't want to be here." Tracks like For the Last Time, Kill Yourself Part 3, and Antarctica were brutal diary entries. I'm the one that's trying to kill myself. My music is my therapy, but I still want out. They were writing suicide notes and selling out merch at the same time. One night in Berlin, according to Ruby in an Apple Music interview, he collapsed backstage from mixing opioids and liquor. He woke up in a hospital and the doctor told him if he kept going, he wouldn't last a month. That was my wake-up call. But even then, I didn't stop. I went back on tour 2 days later. But in 2022, everything broke. Ruby hit rock bottom, he entered rehab, he got clean, and Slick followed. They both went sober fully for the first time since their teens. Sobriety was harder than anything we'd ever done, but it saved our lives. It made us see the music differently. It gave us another chance. In their 2022 album Sing Me a Lullaby, My Sweet Temptation, the tone shift. Still dark, but now with flickers of hope, self-awareness, and healing. Songs like Matte Black and Escape from Babylon talk about trauma, but they no longer glorify it. The old us wouldn't have made it to 30. The new us were trying. The difference in their music is extraordinary. Comparing their old music to the music they have been making since they went sober has changed. They stick to the same genre and style, but it just feels different. The Suicide Boys built a movement from the unspoken: depression, anxiety, addiction, suicidal thoughts, things most rappers won't touch. They didn't just become successful, they grew a cult. With their music, these two have turned their life around completely. They have stated on so many occasions that without it, they wouldn't be here.